Using recording, pick up the screen. Boa tarde, galera. I don't even know what number class this is. I think this is 6. This might be our 6th, it might be our 5th, but what difference does it make? In real time, it is April 2nd. And so I know at least that much. I have no idea how many times we've been doing this or even how many more are coming. But this is where we are today. We are going to work on Capoeira Luta Regional da Bahia, Capoeira Regional today. So we have our Capoeira Regional Birimbau. A Capoeira Regional Birimbau is slightly shorter than a traditional birimbau, a little thinner, a bit lighter. The cabasa is mid-range between the violinha, the smallest, and the medio, the medium size. It has a very rich tone, and this one was made by Mestre Nenel, who is the son of Mestre Bimba, using his father's recipe for the fabrication and the varnish, which is a composition of a chemical called Brasilac and some other unknown quantities that are a family recipe. Since I'm not from the family Machado, I don't get to know what those are. Então, we will do one quadra and a bunch of corridos. Mestre Bimba only used 2 kinds of songs, quadras and corridos. His charanga, what we call bateria, consisted of 1 birimbau and 2 bandeiros. And so that is what we have in our charanga for today. I'm going to try my best to make use of the music stand, which was donated to us. And so now we're getting into, a little progress. The only thing that's really, really hard is I can't really see that far. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I can barely see the screen right now. And so all these words are kind of floating around on those pages. So if you see me leaning forward and over here, it's because I can't see. It's not because I don't know the song. It's because I don't see what song is next. I'm going to try to do them in the order that Mestre Bimba did them on his CD, Curso de Capoeira Regional. Então, embora. Mas deixava uma noite, quem que você sabe rezar? Agora de bebê, agora de bebê, oi, sim, sim, oi, não, não, oi, sim, sim, oi, não, não. Oi, sim, sim, oi, não, não. Oi, sim, sim, oi, não, não. Mas hoje tem, amanhã não, e a verdade é o peão. Oi, sim, sim, oi, não, não. 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 Eu vou dizer ao meu senhor que a madeira derramou. Vou dizer ao meu senhor que a madeira derramou. E a manteiga não era minha, a manteiga de ioiô. Vou dizer ao meu senhor que a manteiga derramou. Oh, a manteiga do patrão, a manteiga de ioiô. Vou dizer ao meu senhor que a manteiga não era minha, eu ia fila de ioiô. Vou dizer ao meu senhor que a manteiga, oh, a manteiga do patrão, a manteiga de ioiô. Vou dizer ao meu senhor que a manteiga, vai você, Dona Maria, como vai você, como vai você, Dona Maria, como vai você, como vai passou, como vai você, Dona Maria, como vai você, eu vai você, como pra você. Chorou, menino, menino chorou. Cala a boca, menino, ô menino chorar, porque não tem a paz. Ele fica no seu, ele não tem a mais. Ela comprou na feira, foi comprar rapador. Ela chorou, menino, ô menino chorou, ô menino chorar, ô menino danado. Ai, 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 também tu me chama. Ai, 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 também tu chamou. Ai, 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 também tu me leva. E aranha me cura. Não me joguei no chão. A castiga de neve. E a comonação. Também tu me chama. Também tu chamou. A capoeira de Angola. E pra onde mulher. O capoeira regional. Eu sou branqueiro. O também tu me chama. O também tu chamou. O também tu me chama. O também tu chamou. O cobrar lembrou, eu salvei, cobrar modelo. Ele vai me matar, eu levei na mão. Vou cuidar do sacó, vou dentro da cor. Vou buracar da cor, vou cobrar danada. Vou cuidar do sacó. And so the quadra is the style of song that may have 4, 6, 8 lines. There are songs that were written by Mestre Bimba and sung to the toques Salvento Grande, which we distinguish by saying Salvento Grande de Regional, so we know whether it is Salvento Grande de Angola or from Capoeira Regional. And so his other songs were those things called corridos, and they're just the back and forth songs. And he did a bunch of them on his CD, Curso de Capoeira Regional. And so if you are interested, you should go look it up on the internet, purchase it, to support as best you can the lineage of Mestre Bimba and his family and his work that continues on today. And so we did some music. Hopefully I answered some questions. Remember, if you have questions, you'll need to email them. I know that Zoom is interactive and you can type them and they'll appear on the screen, but I can barely see this far. Don't expect me to see that far to see what you should wrote on that screen. I will do my best to answer all questions in each following class. So the answer will be out there. You just got to go and find it. And so we will transition now into our movements, and our movements today will be from Capoeira Regional. And so as you know, it takes us a moment to redirect our cameras. So please bear with us in our redirection of our video so that we can bring to you our movimentos. We will start with the teaching sequence from Capoeira Regional, the sequência da ensino da Capoeira Regional, and we'll do some basic movements from that. And then we will move on into some actual footwork. Our goal today is a little different. We want to try moving around our opponent or our partner, if you would. And so we need to switch digital device. Music, albums. So it's coming. It's here. Here we go. We're going to start with just some ginga. We want to ginga na cadência. So for this first part, I'm going to turn up the volume so that you can hear the cadence. I know there's a time lag, and I'm really sorry about that, but on our second camera, the video quality is much better. I'm going to start tagging our second camera's videos in with these so that you have the option of seeing a higher quality, better resolution image. First exercise, cocorinha, what Mestre Diva called guarda baixo. We are not going to move together. We're going to move at our own individual pace. When we feel a cocorinha, we'll do a cocorinha. So in part one, we do two meia-luas, and our partner does two cocorinhas. So we're going to do a sequence of two meia-luas. Our meia-luas can come from paralela or again from the back. We can mix it up, but what we're going to do, two meia-luas and then some ginga. We're going to try to alternate. So we start with the right, ginga, and then we start with the left. If you're working out at home, try to sing along. It helps build up your strength, your endurance, your constitution. In part two of the teaching sequence, the kick is changed from meia-lua to queixada. So now we will do two queixadas. Three bases though. Paralela, de fora, atrás. We're going to mix it up. It's important that we do one with each leg, and then each time we start with the opposite leg. martelos. 2 martelos. Vámonos embora, camarada. Vámonos embora, camarada. Luta regional da Bahia, poderosa, powerful. Part 4, Godeme, the back fist. Our Godemes will come from paralela base and a Chifara base. Chifara, paralela. Before we move on to our next exercise, one quick explanation. Many people assign attributes to styles of capoeira that are not very accurate. Some people say that the description of Capoeira Angola is low and slow capoeira. And that's not always true. Capoeira Angola is always played to the tempo and the speed and the rhythm, the toque, the intention, the intensity of the birimbau, just like Capoeira Regional. And so the speed of the jogo is determined by the birimbau, not the style of the capoeira. You can play the toque de Angola slowly or very quickly. And so the same thing is misunderstood in Capoeira Regional, where they say, oh, Capoeira Regional, that's that fast capoeira. Some people believe it's that fast capoeira with lots of acrobatics, which are two very incorrect statements. There's not many acrobatic movements in capoeira at all. It's more of a toe-to-toe fighting art. And so an acrobatic movement doesn't make much sense in an actual fight. And so in order to define your styles better, talk to your teacher and ask your teacher what they would describe Capoeira Angola or Regional as. I use the description for Capoeira Angola as tricky capoeira. The trick can come at any speed, but it's always the way the birimbau is playing. That's how we should move. And to further define how you play to each rhythm within Capoeira Angola is important because each rhythm is asking you to do something different. The same thing goes for Capoeira Regional, understanding what the rhythm is asking you to do. For example, in Salvento Grande in Capoeira Regional, that is our toe-to-toe fighting rhythm, whereas Banguela is more of a cooperative toque. It's asking you to play with the person rather than against the person. The toque de Iuna is a chance to show the beauty and control of your movements, as well as your time to do the balões, the partner throws within capoeira. So to understand what each capoeira is, talk to your teacher or send me a question and I'll give you a more detailed answer. But you want to know how to move in each style of capoeira, not the misinterpretations of, oh, Angola slow, Regional fast. That's not true at all. It's how the rhythm is asking you to move. And so we'll continue with Mestre Accordion today, playing music for us. And he uses primarily on this CD that he entitled Birimbau e Dois Pandeiros, one birimbau and two pandeiros, and he played primarily the toque Salvento Grande that he remembered his teacher playing for him. And so we'll get back into our movements. Our next series of movements, we're going to be doing those kicks, that meia lua, the queixada, the martelo. And we want to try and move around the chair as we do them. So we were doing partnered movements of two moves, two kicks. We're going to continue that concept. It can be the same two kicks, or it could be two different kicks, but we're going to do two kicks in each side of the chair. There's 4 sides to our chair, so we're going to do 2 at each side. A quick capoeira tip, what helps me to remember which leg I'm on is I try to always start with my right leg. Whenever we begin a drill, if we're doing 2 of them, I try to always start with my right leg so that I know if I've done it once, then the next time I start with my left leg. And when you're working with a partner and you communicate that with your partner, it minimizes the risk of injury. Now, when partners are more advanced, they give less physical, verbal cues, they do more movements and you got to figure it out. But when training cooperatively with a partner, it's always nice to give them a hint or two. My hint to you now is, I'll be starting with my right leg. You can start with your right leg at home or your left, but whatever it is, 2 movements at each of the 4 quarters of the chair, and then going back and forth around that chair. So vamos continuar. Let's continue. Dona Maria, como vai você? 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 Emba, 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 capoeira April, capoeira April, capoeira Yes. So I also chose Mestre Acordeon's CD Birimbau Dois Pandeiros today because it's only 4 tracks and each of his tracks is about 15 minutes long. And that's what we're doing. We're doing segments or blocks of movement. I don't know about you, and I'm sure the camera's not picking up because of the HD, but I'm sweating bullets here. So we're getting a good workout. I can see the guy behind me is sweating. And so hopefully you're getting a good workout as well. You have to push yourself. Now, there's 2 points with this. One is to push yourself. You work as hard as you want, because I don't know when you're watching this. In the time that it's being recorded, we're in fear of a global pandemic, and some people are a bit sad and they're not really very motivated. And so sometimes it's hard to just do what's being shown to you on the screen. Maybe you're just watching what's going on the screen. And that takes me to part 2. If you're watching what's going on the screen, please keep in mind that right now in our time of April 2020 global pandemic, we're being forced to discover new ways to deliver our information to people. None of us as capoeira teachers are videographers or front of camera professionals who know much about how to deliver content really well online. So we're all just doing the best we can. We're all figuring out our technology with each class. And so my ask of the people watching is to watch with a less critical eye. If you see something that doesn't look perfect, well, you know, this is a one-take video. There was not a director on the side calling cut. There was not a retake. If a chair goes down, it's because that's what happened. Please don't be so critical of us, and also don't be so critical of yourself. If you're struggling with the movements at home, take your time, push the pause button, go back and try it again. We don't get a pause button, we're just gonna continuously move. We have 2 more tracks with Méthode Accordion. 1 track will be of some more movements, and our last track will be our games with you. But again, my request and ask is that you critique less and try to enjoy more. One of the greatest fears of many capoeira teachers is that you see our mistakes and you come to see that we make a lot of mistakes. But the majority of capoeira teachers, we're really humble people because we're just a little bit better than you are in what we're trying to do with and for you. And so again, please critique less, like more, and let's move on to our next set of movements. In the next set of movements, we're going to continue the concept of moving around the chair, but we're going to free it up now. We're going to open it up into all of the stuff. So that's the meia lua, that's the queixada, that's the martelo, that's also the armada, the meia lua de compasso, any kicks that you know at home that you can do safely in your space. It's going to be a little trickier for us because we have to work with each other in the space. So our peripheral vision needs to be really good so that we don't smash legs into each other. But you also can throw in au, negativa, rolê. You can even do some cool floreios if you would like the chapéu de couro. That's very commonly done in capoeira regional. Chapéu de couro, which means the hat of leather. If I had on my leather shoes today and I dropped into a negativa, and I brought my leather shoe up across your head, that would be a chapéu de couro. So if you make it down onto the floor at home and you want to get up, feel free to throw your foot up and across to get up. If you want to do a little bit of a jump in there, that's fine too. Então, vamos embora. Our part 3. 10 minutes on this track. Ah, you were right, you should have grabbed it. Yay! So, Luta Regional da Bahia, the regional fighting art from Bahia, created by Mestre Bimba and given to the Brazilian government as a proposal for a regional fighting art from Bahia, to which the governor of Bahia thought was a great idea. Now, at the time, capoeira, all capoeira, which didn't really have a style at the time, it was just capoeira gem, capoeira, coisa vagabunda. It was illegal. And so, thanks to the work of Mestre Bimba, Manuel dos Reis Machado, in presenting a curriculum to the Brazilian government, and the governor of Bahia deciding wisely that this was something that needed to be celebrated, it was approved as a sport, a martial art in Bahia, and thereby legalized capoeira quite accidentally. And so years later, capoeira was adopted as an official sport in Brazil. Today, capoeira is celebrated all over the world. But we would not be doing this video, virtual training, any kind of training, if not for the efforts of the pioneers of capoeira. Mestre Bimba being one of them, Mestre Pastinha, Mestre Valdemar, Mestre Caiçara. There are so many famous teachers from the early 1900s that are the modern day pioneers of this thing that we do today. And so many of the pioneers have gone on. They foi pro céu, they've gone to heaven. And so there are very few of the velha guarda, the old guard of capoeira left. You should, if you are a capoeirista, make your capoeira pilgrimage to the Mecca of capoeira, Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. And you should go and try to meet as many of the famous teachers that you can before they are gone. They are living history. They are the embodiment of the beauty and all it is that we do in capoeira. And so you can find some of them online, and you can find some of them in very old clips that you can see of their games. And you should do that as well. But if you can, get on a plane, go to Bahia. Come with us in August. We go every August for a week, and we'll introduce you to as many teachers as we possibly can in that week's time. Our last exercise for today is our virtual roda. It's where we're going to play with you and we'll do some movements and you should get out of the way of those movements. Sadly, we haven't figured out a way for us to escape your movements, but you'll see there are times in our game where we will just hold an escape position like an esquiva or a cocorrinha or a negativa. That's a good chance for you to get out of the way. Before we start our roda, I'm going to use the music and I'm just going to go through some of the movements that we were working on today in class. You could go back and rewind to look and see each movement being done, or you can also rewind the part that I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to do some of the basic movements from today's class so that you can see some of the leg and hand positioning so that you can work on making your technique even better. One of the amazing things that Mestre Bimba used to require of his students is whenever their hand went down to the floor, they would have to slap the floor. So for a guarda baixo or cocorrinha, there was a slap to make sure that the hand was flat, the fingers were not flexed, and minimize the risk of breaking them. For meia lua de compasso, the hands went down flat. You would hear a slap. And so I'll do my best to accentuate my slap right now so that you can hear and see how to do some of these capoeira movements. Isso! Thank you for joining us for our continuation in this this series. We will continue to post these. Send us your questions. We want to jogo com vocês. We want to play with you. If we can't play with you together, jogo virtual. Tchau, tchau. Boa viagem.